Hello everyone and welcome along to your immediate post-match reaction. Well, almost immediate. We went to the press conference first just so we could hear what Russell Martin had to say, but your immediate live post-match reaction to Rangers 0, Hearts 2 from Ibrox. 4 draws, 1 defeat in the league. I'm joined by Iain Mitchell. We've been sat together all day at the game, venting our frustrations, I think it's fair to say. But Iain, can you just give an overview of your thoughts, your feelings, everything around the game?
God, how long have we got? Yet another shambolic performance. If you split up between the two halves, the first half is one of the worst halves of football I've seen from Rangers side, possibly ever, taking into account the standard and stuff, but absolutely awful, didn't create anything, still hopeless at the back, there's no style. For me, the players are getting the ball and just not sure what they're supposed to be doing with the ball. There's no, triangles.
For a set of professional footballers that are largely paid tens of thousands of pounds a week, they look like they'd never seen a football before in their life.
They look like jobbers. They look like League One side at best. And in the second half, there's a lot of huffing and puffing, and we create a couple of half chances, but you can't really remember much the goalies had to do. I know we have one off the post, one off the bar kind of thing, but it wasn't even that relentless pressing and a goal's coming. You never got that feeling at all in here. And obviously sucker punch at the end to go 2-0 down, but I don't think they needed that second goal, really, the way the game was going. It's just such a toxic atmosphere in here, but I completely understand why. It's just everyone's ran out of patience. The thin patience we were on, and the 2-week break that we had, we thought, I would come back to something. We had 2 weeks of training, give us something to cling on to. That's what we spoke about before the game even started. Just give us a bit of hope, give us some light at the end of the tunnel kind of thing. And we're coming away even more disappointed, more angry. And again, I'm not going to be the only one, but he must go. For me at this point, it's got to be the experiment over.
Yeah, definitely. I think you're not the only one yet, Iain, with that view. He absolutely has to go. He should have gone realistically after Dundee.
Wouldn't have been against it.
Realistically, he definitely should have gone after Bruges away.
Yep.
And now it's beyond that level of thinking, and it's going to turn, if it hasn't already turned, into away from should he go or should he not go, to look at the people above and see why haven't you made the decision yet. I think we were in his press conference there, and he obviously said he's not going to resign. I think that's fairly standard for football managers these days.
You'd have to resign. Any manager.
You're not going to walk away without a nice pay packet in your pocket, and you can't blame him for that. I don't hold that against him, but it's up to the new ownership. It's up to Patrick Stewart. It's up to Kevin Thelwell to make that decision, and that Russell Martin absolutely has to go. I feel sorry for him in a lot of ways. I think we'll go on to today's game and the reaction of the fans, and we'll go on to that. But
see, just jumping in on that, on this feeling sorry for him thing, and I get what you mean from a human level. Like I said to you, when you see him sort of full-time whistle goes, it's a chorus of boos, and he's marching down the tunnel. You feel bad for him in a human sense, because that's a rough place to be in. You're very lonely, dugout to be standing for 90 minutes, but he really doesn't help himself with certain things in terms of actions. And we've talked the Raskin situation to death, but it's one example of, it looks like it could have been a very easy decision just to have him included on the bench. Doesn't do that. Some of the comments, some of the decisions, the tactics, the subs, there's absolutely nothing that I see up from the players or from anything in front of me there where I've thought, okay, there's, again, go back to it, something to cling on to, there's something to give me a bit of hope. And it just starts from him completely. You said it yourself, it's a big call for the ones above to make at this point, but I think it's a kind of obvious one, personally.
Yeah, I think it really is. That's what we've all been searching for. I think we maybe got a wee bit of it. Victoria Pilsen at home is the one moment I feel like we were able to grasp to. I think we've all been looking. No one's had big expectations that we were going to have this massive squad overhaul. We're going to come into the season all cylinders firing and be winning 100. We 5 wins out of 5 wins at this stage. I don't think anyone expected that. I think this is actually one of the easier starts to a season we've had as well, which is has to be taken into account. But no one expected this to be firing on all cylinders.
I would argue, just again to jump in, I'm going to do that a lot here.
Yeah, that's right.
The emotions are high. That's probably the first good team that's played here domestically, and that's not to bite at Celtic in any way, but they were poor on the day, and we got a draw. Dundee were absolutely nothing special. Motherwell were poor in the first game. Hearts are a decent team. By all means, they're not world class, they're not incredible, but they work hard and they've got a bit of quality. And you saw that was pretty comfortable for them. Derek McInnes got asked in the press conference there about, is that the most comfortable you've been at Ibrox? And he's not going to come out and say yes, obviously. But he didn't say no. It's a very simple 2-0 away day performance that we just can't accept as a fan base. Like, that's goes without saying. That is not good enough in any sense of it. And every point I make here is going to come back to it can't continue, because it cannot continue like this.
No. What did Russell Martin try and summarise what he said in his press conference? He basically said that he wasn't going to resign. We've kind of spoken about that already.
Yep.
He said that there's a lot of new players who are trying to settle into being at this club. This club is very different to other clubs that they'll have been at. It's the first time they're experiencing something, and they're trying to settle in very difficult circumstances. He then spoke about that he's seeing this squad and how they are very different in training, especially on a Thursday and Friday, to then what they're doing and how they're performing on the pitch.
As if that matters. Like,
he also said the criticism doesn't affect him personally. Obviously affects him professionally, but doesn't affect him personally.
Yep.
What do you? There's so many points to kind of go into with that.
That's 4 podcasts in one, though.
Starting with the players that are settling in, difficult circumstances.
Sure. Yep.
What do you? How does that comment sit with you?
I get it, because I mean that's a hard environment for any player to play in, let alone if you don't really know what to expect here. And players can study Rangers, they can get told, well, it's a hard place to play when it's going badly. Of course it is, but Chermiti, for example, he's coming on there and we need him to be brilliant, and he's coming on to not boos, but no one booed him or anything, but there's boos all game. He's coming on at 1-0 down with so much pressure on him, and he wasn't very good, has to be said. But just in that one example, it's a tough moment for him. It's a tough place. And the thing that really annoyed me with Russell Martin's press conference there, and it's that he said none of this is tactical, it's psychological.
Yeah.
Now, again, I understand some players will find it difficult here, but part of scouting and working out what players are coming in are bringing in players that know how tough this can be and can rise to that, can challenge that, can lead on from there.
It need to be ready straight off the bat as well.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, you can understand, right, if they're taking a wee bit to get into the we see it sometimes with the pace of the game in Scotland, the physicality of the game in Scotland. We see it sometimes with an understanding tactically of where they're supposed to be and when they're supposed to be there, and that you maybe see them lose a man at a corner or something like that, and you're like, right, okay, they're just taking a wee bit.
Don't do that again. Do this next time.
They're learning as they go. I think very much to say that they're not psychologically ready.
I just don't get it. Yeah, if you don't think a player is psychologically ready to play here, don't let them play here.
Yeah.
Like, it can't be 11 players. It can't be sort of a squad of 25, 27 players, whatever we've got. It's a massive squad still. And think, I don't have 10 guys who can front up and face what the crowd's going to give an offer today. Because if that's the case, you've not got players that are going to be good for you. So why have you kept them at the club? He's not been here 5 minutes now. He's been here, 3 months nearly? It's not obviously long, but it's enough time to kind of get to know players, get to know what players can and can't do, sort of environments they can and can't play in. And it's playing football at the end of the day. I know it's a lot of noise, it's tough, but you can still put on a bit of a show. It is just a few comments are saying it's an excuse for me. Yet another excuse now the transfer window's shut. He's got something else to lambast.
Yeah, so that's the first point about the players settling in. I guess the second point, I've actually forgotten what the points were that I listed there. But I guess can you remind me of any what he said?
He said how the players are anxious, what he sees in training.
Yes,
what
he sees in
translate.
training,
That's what
that
we're
was the next
going
one.
Yep.
So in terms of what he sees in training on a Thursday and Friday, and then he's not seen that on a Saturday, does that lie with the manager? Does it lie with the players? Does it? I mean, how many times have we heard that I've heard about Cyril Dessers.
There's
and
three in my head.
Phenomenal in training. Kieran Dowell's another one.
Dowell, Scott Wright was always a great trainer, and going further back, Brandon Barker was always electric in training, the best trainer you've ever seen. Couldn't kick a ball in front of 50,000 people, and it just goes back to I don't care how someone is in training, as long as they're working hard. I don't care how they play. I care about how they play here, and if you're not seeing that translate, I mean, it's the exact same starting 11 today as it was for Celtic. So, if a player's doing well in training and then not doing it on the pitch, why are they getting a second, third, fourth chance to do that?
But it's the exact same starting 11 as it was against Celtic, with a completely different intensity, with a completely different approach to the game.
That I might blame more on players, because it's what we've seen for so long. Very easy guy to call out, but Diomande today, as we said, watching the game, done nothing.
He's just done nothing. Player. Like, he's just done nothing player. He's all right at times. He's busy in terms of getting himself about the pitch. He tries to do too much on the ball.
He's also just not very good on the ball.
He just contributes nothing to the team.
But man of the match against Celtic. Has lots of European nights that are good performances. So why? It's as if they turn their nose up at certain games and go, I don't need to put all the effort in here because we'll probably win anyway. This team haven't done that. I don't get where the ego comes from of certain players. And it's not just digging out Diomande. By all means, he's not the worst today. He's just one example of a number of this squad where they just don't turn up. And again, I thought this before the game. I'm not expecting to come here and get like wowed by performances and win 5-0 and dominate the ball. I'm a bit fresh at this point. But I need something because it's just so flat. And then, the first 10 minutes of this game was all hearts. All hearts. The ball didn't come up our end at all. Yeah. They have a half chance from the Hackett header. I think another one fell at Shankland that he just shot off the edge of the box. And then they score, but we all saw it coming. And if we see it coming, how are the coaching staff not trying to change something, not swapping something, not seeing how poor Mikey Moore's playing on the left wing there and trying it on the other side?
Awful today. He's shown absolutely nothing since he's been to Rangers, and that seems, to me, it's a real concern because he started against Bruges, started against Celtic,
that's a big one,
started against St Mirren, and started here today. Has shown nothing, but the consistency with which he's starting over Ant-Man, who hasn't showed anything either, to be fair.
Not since his first game, no.
But the fact he's starting over Ant-Man, taking a position where Gassama is much
better
on the
problem.
left
that's the
than on the right. You start to wonder, is there something in his contract that he has to play and has to start X number of games for Rangers or something like that? But Mikey Moore was awful.
I would probably put Nasser Jigga in the exact same conversation because you've signed Cornelius, who's just scored a 40-yard free kick and a 1-0 win for his country. Big confidence, ready to go. Surely we heard in the press conference the other day that he's fit and fine, and yet he starts on the bench. And you don't always want to throw a new player in, but that would have been a perfect example to do that. And I know your feelings on Suter aren't exactly very promising, but
you make the bench.
Exactly. So it just doesn't want to go back to it. Russell Martin could help himself in small instances and just doesn't. And the fans have lost complete patience with him, totally understandably. Again, I'm going to round it off yet again. This can't continue. It's not good enough.
What he spoke about it doesn't. Next point before I go into how it affects him or like the reaction of the fans and things like that. He was very dismissive about not expecting any talks with Patrick Stewart tonight. Patrick Stewart wasn't at Ibrox today. Not entirely sure why.
I think it was a personal issue. I think someone said so. It's nothing
today. No. But Russell Martin said he doesn't expect any talks with Patrick Stewart or Kevin Thelwell tonight. What did you make of? What did you make of that answer? But also his tone and his approach to the press conference. I mean, there was Stevie Clifford from Forwards and David Edgar from Heart and Hand both took him to task. Several times. What did you make of his tone during that?
He's in a difficult position. I get that. He's obviously his back's up. He's kind of ready to bite back, but he's not very likable in that sense because what I think fan media as a whole gets sort of slagged at times for maybe not being hard enough or not saying the right thing, but we are just fans. We have the same questions as 50,000 people in this stadium, and I think what Davey and Stevie asked was very on point. It was very not over the top. It was quite simply just things that we would all ask in that situation, and just the tone that was going back with, I didn't really like, saying that we don't see what he sees in training.
Yeah.
Go back to it. Don't care what happens in training. Care what happens there. So it sort of was just excuse after excuse, and it just didn't quite answer. Like I say, he could have easily gone into some detail and tried to explain what he's trying to do tactically. And I get a manager's not going to come out and give you his like blueprint and what he's doing, because that's not what anyone does these days. But when you're asking the question of, well, what are we supposed to be doing here? We just want a bit of analysis, a bit of detail back. And, he was very dismissive, pretty arrogant, I think you have to say. And it's an arrogant, egotistical manner for a guy that's not won a league game. It's not won domestically other than Alloa here. So it doesn't really fit. It's quite uncomfortable. And again, you want to take something from a press conference that's positive, and by all means, a 2-0 loss, you're not going to come out there smiling with it, whatever's said, but it just doesn't help himself yet again.
Yeah. We got a chance from the crowd today aimed at Russell Martin. Never seen a manager booed when he comes out for the second half.
Nor have I ever seen an away section start the chant of "sacked in the morning," which is then joined in by the home fans.
By the home fans,
That's a new one for me.
So a lot of firsts today, but the emotion from the stands, the feeling from the stands, I think it's important to remember as well, and this is forgotten. We all pay a lot of money to go and watch Rangers. My season tickets over £700 a year.
Europa package is a lot dearer than across the city.
You've got the qualifiers that came beforehand. Yep. You're well over £1,000 deep before you're even at the end of August. Really, most seasons. Yep. Do you think that's disregarded at times, or it's not really realised how much the fans are putting into the team? Possibly.
I mean, it's one of those things that we're going to bring up when we're not doing well. If we'd won every game, we wouldn't have this conversation, obviously. But I think what was quite a bad sign for me was that one of the first questions in the press conference was about that, and saying how the fans don't want you anymore, which is quite a brutal statement, but it's true. Voices are loud. And he just dismissed that back by saying, "Oh, fans didn't want me in day one." That's pretty defeatist and
I think Russell Martin is really interesting in a lot of ways, but I think he's really interesting because he's got a level of self-confidence that I don't think I've seen. And some might call it arrogance. I'm not quite sure where it sits on that line. It probably depends. Yeah. It probably depends on how he answers some stuff in the coming weeks. But he's got a level of self-confidence that I don't think I've seen in a manager, and he's got that such a narrow focus on what he's doing is right, and what anyone else thinks outside of the group of people he's trying to do that with, what anyone else thinks outside of that is wrong.
Yeah, it's kind of very much. It's kind of like how Gerrard was in terms of like an arrogance way, but I didn't always see that as a negative. I thought you kind of need that to do well here. You need to have like a lot of belief in yourself and know that you're doing the right thing and be able to back that. But when you've not got anything to show for it at all at this point, the only good performance this season has been one home game against a very poor Pilsen side who were terrible. I just don't get how
destroyed us away from home.
It's very true. Then beat us. So I just don't get how you can have that mindset when everyone around you is questioning it. We've also heard the stuff about some players, and Raska in particular, seems like he's questioned it and been shunned to the side. So you just wonder if there's more players thinking that as well. Just don't want to say it because of what's happened, obviously. And then if you don't, I said this in a pod a few weeks ago, if you don't fully buy into what a Russell Martin team is supposed to do, I don't think it works. And if then, from Russell Martin's side, if you're not getting that across to your players properly, it's never going to work anyway. So yeah, we're on we'll know how this is going to end. Like, we'll know it's going to end soon, don't we?
Is it going to end soon?
We're getting to a point where the season could be done before we make that call. And for me, that's what we've done.
Next Saturday.
Yeah, absolutely. That's what we've done with Clermont. We waited till it was too late. and then the season was done, and we just had the kind of procession of games that meant nothing. You could strike now and still, we're 9 points behind Hearts, so I've got some cheek saying that we could get some kind of title campaign going again. But it's still very early days. We all know at this point it's been the wrong appointment. It's pretty obvious. I think everyone in this stadium would have agreed with that right now, even before kickoff, let alone after watching that. I think there has to just be some kind of accountability now of saying we've got this wrong. Let us fix it.
Yeah.
Because the longer that drives on, a lot of every fan basically has turned on Russell Martin. That then just goes up a level, and you turn on your Patrick Stewarts, your Kevin Thelwells, goes up another level. The longer that drags on, and sometimes those relationships aren't repairable.
Yeah, I mean, at this stage, sitting here, I'd be surprised if he was in charge for Hibs next Saturday. What do you think? Where do you sit in the scale of likelihood of that?
Yeah, I think he's done. I think he's done. I think he knows.
There's a difference between he's done and a decision's going to be made.
That's true. My cop-out didn't work there. I think he will be relieved of his duties in the next 40 hours. So I think I think prior to the Celtic game, not he was told you must win, but you were probably told you can't lose this game, or else there might be a decision to make, kind of thing. And he's crawled through that one, got away with it, you could say. But then there must have been chat about, well, you've got 2-3 games now, you need to win all of them and get fans back on side, get ticket sales back up, because that's the thing. The club are going to be losing money rapidly here. Between this place wasn't empty at all today. It was still a decent crowd, but there was a lot of empty patches. The Europa packages aren't selling like anyway.
I think
usually
I
are.
think the problem they've got though is that I mentioned my season ticket money. They've already got all of that. So outside of paying or not paying for a Europa package, which I will pay for, but
we're suckers, aren't we?
Outside of that, what impact can fans, when we're seeing over the other side of the city, fans trying to get together to make an impact, that we're not at that stage.
To be fair, but is that not a bigger statement when your whole stadium are chanting, Martin, get to France, let's say, plus joining in the sack? Like, I know there's no emotional attachment between the owners and the fans, which is a big difference. I think if this was the old board or any board of the past, he would be gone by now. That is different here, I get that, but everyone has their sort of biting point. Everyone has their point where you have to say, this isn't working, the chemistry's not right. This, whatever I'm trying to do here isn't working. And I wouldn't be surprised if it's not a sacking. I said this to you before. I think it will be one of those mutually agree to part ways kind of thing. Again, no manager's going to walk and just resign. That doesn't happen in modern football. But I think it'll be a kind of a gentleman's agreement type thing of, I'm not making this work. You know it's not going to work. So let's just cut ties and we go again. And that, again, jumping a little bit, but the next appointment, it's massive already for this board. Otherwise, people will lose faith in them completely.
I don't think, like, in terms of the board and the new ownership, we got some insight into the interview process that they went through. We got some insight into the level of detail they went into with it. I mean, Russell Martin came through 7 interviews before he was given the job. You don't come through that without a very convincing pitch, a very convincing personality, and a very clear idea of how it's going to be and what it's going to work.
Yep.
He has probably gone by the different press conferences he's done and the answers he's given. He's told them from the start during the interview, this isn't going to be a quick fix. And he's probably bought himself time in the eyes of the owners with that. So I guess the concern for me is that they think, well, we knew this was going to happen, we're just going to ride it out. The other potential is that it's worse than they thought it was going to be, and then that makes them act.
Yeah.
Which you do hope.
Scott.
Or they think, no, we made the right decision. We're going to carry on.
Yeah.
It's our ball. We're going to play with.
We've talked about ego quite a lot between the players and the manager, but I think the board and the people who make those decisions maybe need to, like, pocket their ego a little bit, because you know it's like in any job, you have decisions to make and you kind of live and die by them, and you have to stand by them at times. But there also comes a point where you have to say, I got this wrong.
And I think, given who they are, given 14 Years Enterprises, Andrew Kavanagh, you're not successful if you're not learning from mistakes and making important decisions quickly. You're not successful if that's the case. So I don't have any concerns at the moment that they would be willing or not willing to make the decision. My only concern is if they still feel they made the right decision initially or not.
Yeah. The thing that I think we would have had to see is some kind of action. Like, results are one thing, right? You can lose games and you can drop points here and there, and we could have not won in 5 games, but had all these excuses to go by about. You know, that's something we've not touched on. The referee decisions.
Yeah, we'll come back to the actual game itself shortly. But I think the performances more than anything is what's killing us all.
Yes.
I think if we were coming into these games 4 draws, we were battering teams.
Yeah, goalie has a world-class game. You missed chances, all this stuff.
You're absolutely battering teams. You're creating 15, 20 chances a game. The ball's just not going in the net.
Happens,
and then other teams are scoring from one of their 2 or 3 chances they get a game. You're right. Okay, we've got something to build on here.
Yep.
It's going to turn. We just need to tweak here and there.
Trust the process.
We're going to get it. Yeah. We're not creating anything.
Nothing.
We're not creating anything. No. We look scared. We look nervous. The players don't look like they know what they're going to be doing, which is what we spoke about beforehand.
And do you know what the excuse was for that for a while? It was that it's game after game after game. It's Sunday, Thursday, Sunday. There's no training, and I get that. It's a style you're trying to implement. It will take some time. It's a lot of training to do. That's after 2 weeks of training.
Yeah.
Yes, some guys are in international duty, of course they are, but the whole back 4 was here, apart from Suter. The 2 or 3 in the midfield was there. Majovski was obviously not away, but there's then guys on the bench who would have been here all week as well, and it just doesn't get any better with any subs that come on, and it just doesn't work for me. Again, it's another excuse that has now proven to be just that. It's just an excuse. It's not any better.
Where's the balance? This is probably a question for a future podcast, but I'll ask it now anyway. Where's the balance in terms of, okay, these new owners have come in, bought Rangers, installed a new manager, invested £20 million plus in the first transfer market.
Yep.
Where's the balance between, we've committed to this, so we need to give it time to see how it pans out in 8 weeks. Someone said in the comments 100 days he's been in charge isn't enough. Or on the other side of the coin, where's the balance if you're an incoming manager and the previous manager under a new ownership has just been sacked after 9 weeks in the job?
Sure. Yep.
Does that put managers off? Does that put other managers off?
I wouldn't think so, because there's been a lot of examples before of managers going to a club and it just doesn't work. I mean, the most obvious one I'm thinking of is when Frank de Boer went to Crystal Palace and tried to play like Holland and just didn't work, and he was sacked after 7 games. It didn't put managers off, because I think every manager has that ego that thinks, well, I can be the guy that fixes it. I can take it from here and put it to there, and I can make it work. And you kind of want a manager that has that confidence, surely, to manage a club of this size. So I don't think it's a big enough excuse to keep him in place wrongly, because I think it just does more negatives in terms of turning fans away and making this place even more toxic, if that's possible, after today. Because for all the games I've been at, all the years I've been here, I don't think it's ever been that unanimously aggressive. Even the Beale Clement final days were rough and were ugly scenes, but the chanting from the get-go today, it says so much for me. I don't think it's repairable at all.
I feel like it was actually really uncomfortable.
It was,
times.
And I can't really say that without the caveat of that I get it. Like, I understand why fans are doing it, and Russell Martin's right. A lot of fans didn't want him from the get-go, so are only going to go one way, obviously, and the ones that were on side and were sort of backing it have now turned as well. So I get it is pretty unanimous at this point, but I don't think any manager of any club can come back from that, because I was saying this even before this game. If we won this game and then beat Hibs, then beat Livy, it doesn't just make everything great. You'd still have doubters. It would just take that next loss before it's, Martin out, can't stay.
But it buys time, and
it does. It wins some over.
People start to come on board and go, right, I've seen something. Maybe it's going to be an inconsistent season, but I've seen something. It's just going from bad to worse with every game that passes.
Yeah, and again, we said it just before the game was finishing today. We have Hibs next week. Hibs for me are better than Hearts. You know, they've got pace, they've got power, they've got a plan. They've got a lot of guys who've been there a while. I can see that being even uglier next week, and I can't, as a Rangers fan, be scared of Hibs coming to Ibrox. Like that's not that can't work. That can't be the way that we're going into games now. But anyone you spoke to before the game was, "Are you looking forward to it? Excited? You glad to be back?" It wasn't really a I can't wait to see it. It was nah. I know what I'm going to see. I know what's going to unfold in front of me because we're just used to this now, and it's a really sad state of affairs. And when a club gets to that, I think there's only one thing to do. You can't sack the players. So
where you said 48 now within the next 48 hours.
Yeah,
I think it has to be within the next 48 hours. If it drifts on longer than that, it then looks like he's going to be manager next week against Hibs. I very much felt like if we were going to have any chance of mounting any kind of title challenge, as pie in the sky as that might sound, we were going to have to win today. I felt like today was the one that you had to go and win and start to turn the tank around and just to make a real difference. So in reality, any sort of title challenge is now gone in my eyes. Even this early in the season, five games in, unless there's a major change such as the manager, and a new manager coming in, give a new manager 33 games left of the league, and I reckon they can give it a good shot if they're worth their salt. But if this manager continues and it continues in the same way or for any longer, I think any league chance is gone.
Yep.
We're coming up against Hibs exactly a week's time. It'll be second half just kicking off. Our first half just coming to an end. Sorry, it's 5:45 kick-off. Premier Sports Cup quarter final. Sorry, you lose that, you're out the League Cup.
You're done in the league.
You're done in the league. You've got a Scottish Cup that starts in January.
Mm.
Your season's over, effectively.
Yeah, you're playing for one cup or a good European run, and I think sure we all said at the start of the season, don't really care about Europe this season in terms of how important domestic football is. You know, it's domestic success we're craving. It's domestic success that we need. And yet you're, as we said, 9 points behind the Hearts team, who I've just said aren't that good. So that's worth about 10th in the league right now. Played a game more than a lot of teams as well. When you start listing off like that, it can't even be a debate that we have to have a managerial change. A manager, you want just a manager to come in, shore us up at the back, and just give us some kind of threat going forward. Because that's, again, it just goes back to that you've not got any positive here. The defence are hopeless. The attack.
I did think Cornelius, when he came on today, looked good.
He looked tidy. Yeah, he looked all right. He looked commanding.
He looked assured. He looked.
He looked like he should have started the game.
Yeah. Yes.
You've got a top class talent there who you've paid decent money for. Oh, sorry, he's on loan, but it's optional, a decent fee there. But you're playing a shaky Jigger ahead of him, and
very shaky. I think it's not until you see someone like Cornelius come in and how calm and confident and assured. You remember how Goldson was when he was on the ball, and then you compare him to Jigger, who just looks all arms and legs a lot of the time, just not almost like he's not sure what his arms and legs are going to do. Never mind us.
I remember the first few games we had Jigger. I thought, we want to watch here. This guy is a level above what we've had for a while. The tail off in him has been bizarre. I again don't know if that's a coaching thing or he's been asked to do too much, or it's a very different style he's playing here to what we'd have played Red Star. I don't know you give them a proper name, but I still call them Red Star. And Wolves. So maybe this is taking time to adjust to, but easy option today is play Cornelius, put Suter on his right side where he's a lot better, or at least keep Jigger there, because Suter's then playing out of position with them both there. It's just absolutely so bizarre, some of the decisions that we make, and then we've not even talked about Gassama being the wrong side all game again. So
Gassama made such a difference when I know he touched on it earlier, but when he went to the left hand side,
we get better then because he was there.
That's night and day.
Even the first half, he comes over to this side once, drops a shoulder and gets a shot away. It's not the best shot. I think it goes for a corner again, but it's the most threatening we looked all game.
Yeah.
And yet we're playing a guy in his position who looks like a wee boy right now. Very harsh, I know, because he's got a lot of talent, but he looks like he will take time to get used to Scottish football, which is no criticism. That's very normal. But why are you shipping your main threat and the guy who's probably our best player this season out with maybe Butland to play when he can't play? Like, help yourself. Help us. Give us. Drives you mental. It really does.
Yes. Yusuf Chermite also.
Chance have you got here?
Yusuf Chermite also made his debut for Rangers today.
Mm.
I will remind you that when he had his first touch, you said that's good. That's some touch.
It was the highlight of my game so far. Yeah, the nice touch and he got fouled. I was loving it.
After that, it kind of went downhill, but we can't. I don't think we can judge him on that at all. A big guy,
huge.
Interesting. He was on the park. We wondered if Russell Martin was going to just do a straight swap with Bojan Miovski. He didn't. They were both on the park at the same time. That'll be interesting as we go forward as well, to see how that is.
Did all feel a little bit desperate, didn't it? Like,
I think every wee game that we've played so far feels a bit desperate for the last 20 minutes when we've got we end up we go to a back three with either Joe Rothwell, Nico Raskin, or Connor Barron at number 6, and then every other attacker we have in the squad get up the pitch and see
even at that, like, if you play that style, you're obviously going to be culpable at the back, and I think that's where the penalty comes from, because we're a bit exposed back there. But it's not like we're having attack after attack or threatening attack anyway. We're trying to get forward, but I think Hart's kind of cottoned on to it quietly that this Gassama's a threat. Let's just put 2 guys over him, and we'll stop
kind of
that.
said that in his press conference. He said that when Gassama went to left-hand side, he caused a lot of worries, and they had to change how they were approaching it defensively.
But that's all from his individual moments. It's the same as last season for me when we had Cherny diggers at a hole, or Tav kind of stepping up the way he has over the years. It's still relying on someone to do something. Whereas how many times today did we see a good passage of play and good movement? There was one nice bit of passing that broke us at the back during the second half, and you just slow it down again.
It got us out of press. That was all that. Nice
it wasn't in a threatening area at all.
It didn't create anything. Didn't do very much. Thought Asgard did okay today.
Yeah. This is what's very strange for me, right? We've obviously sat together and analysed the game and talked about things. We said Tav done okay. You know, I thought Suter was actually all right overall.
No.
He tailed off horribly. I get that. No. Asgard was okay. Gassama's been threatening. There is a couple of individuals in there that you like.
We've got good players.
Yeah.
I think we have good players. They're just not playing to their strengths.
Yep.
They're overthinking everything that they're doing. There's no clear setup. There's no clear passages of play that we should be doing, style of play.
They look like 10 guys that you've put together for a game of fives.
Yeah.
Kind of idea. Never met, never spoke to each other, don't know each other's names, and need to learn on the job. Like, how many times do we just pass it to people's wrong foot? Like, put it to the wrong side, or put it in front of them when they want it to their feet, or vice versa, or someone standing with the ball, shouting at someone to move. There's one right at the death there where Suter has the ball come over him, and he's shouting at Butland, like, Jack, and Butland is standing there. Game's gone by that point, of course it is, but even little moments like that between 2 guys who have played 100 games together, nearly trained every day together, still don't have that connection, that sort of don't need to speak. We just have that link. We just don't have that anywhere, and that's got to be a coaching thing for me, because, like you say, these are good individuals. You know, we've got international footballers who have made a bit of a statement midweek between Cornelius and Asgard and what they've done, and yet they can't translate that into anything positive that we've got here. So
just to kind of I mean, we don't talk about refereeing decisions.
I don't really think it's an excuse. I'm saying this without having seen anything back.
Yeah, we've not seen them back. So,
yeah, but the fact that Martin and there's comments after it about, was it their goal was a handball, our goal wasn't a foul, their penalty was soft.
It could have been. He didn't touch him. I know any player is going to say he didn't touch him.
Of course, he's not going to say, I went through him.
Made a stupid decision. And
you know, I don't like the referee in this country whatsoever. Don't trust it. Don't trust VAR. None of that stuff. But we shouldn't have to be coming out and giving excuses for that, because it's not like, you know, we would have won without these. For me, you know, the big moments, the big decisions, of course they are, but we should be creating enough that doesn't matter. You know, we should be scoring 3-4 goals that if you get a dodgy decision or two, because we know the refs aren't that very good, you know, you combat that, you kind of fight knowing that. But yeah, just yet more excuses for me.
Yeah. I was going to ask, I had a rounding off question, which I just
So
completely
soon?
forgotten. So soon. 40 minutes in. Oh, so soon.
You go for an hour, can we?
Where does it go from here? Where does it, apart from straight to your podcast
Nice, simple
tomorrow
question.
night,
I know.
where does it go?
That's great. Can't wait to host that.
Where does it go from here? Because it feels like we have decent players. It feels like we have the players to make a real difference in this league. Something else is wrong. Let's round off with talking about Derek McKinney's comment. He basically said that this isn't down to the manager. It's not just down to the manager. Paraphrasing here, but he basically said this isn't just down to the manager. There's much bigger things at play. Clearly, when it's all happening this early, but also this frequently with a number of different managers there's been at the club, with a number of different squads that there's been. What did you make of what he said with that?
Personally, I think it's just the manager sticking up for another manager. To be honest, knowing how hard it is, knowing how lonely it can be. You know, McInnes has had a few sackings in his time as well. Obviously, I really understand the feelings that Russell Martin has just now. And again, he's just being professional for me. But has it ever been this bad? Like in terms of the product on show? Like, I remember being at Giovanni Van Bronckhorst games and being bored. I remember
they're still a dominant team.
Yeah, yes. I remember being at the Bale game when we lost to Aberdeen and thinking this is as low as it gets. Clement had some poor games. You will remember the Warburton games. There's lots of bad instances over the years. Gerrard had his as well. But for consistently not being good to watch, I'll say, you know, that it was 3 shots on target against Dundee, none against Celtic, a handful today if that, you know,
we scored 3 goals in 5 league games, none of which have been from open
one
play.
From a corner, one from a free kick, and one from a penalty, right?
Yep.
So, you know, it's very cheap and easy to say what are they doing in training, but you're not getting anything that they're doing. It's just not a nice product to watch. And you know, I heard someone when I was walking back up there saying to their son, like, "Oh, sorry, this was your first game," and that's brutal. Like, you should be going to Rangers games as a child and seeing goals fly in and seeing chances and getting excited. How many times today did anyone really get off their seat? You know, the goal goes in, obviously disallowed after that, but that's the only chance where people have been up excited. We don't really have those moments anymore. Like whether it's an attack or a dangerous set piece, we don't feel threatened at all. And if you're not getting that excitement from coming, people will simply stop coming. You know, it's voting with their feet kind of thing. And you can talk about the money's been paid, the season ticket money's there, that it's all locked in, of course it is, but it's still quite a statement when you've got guys who are paying for season tickets not coming along. And I think I'll just ramp up more and more as the weeks go on if we keep playing like this, because it's so boring, it's so tedious to.
I've remembered my rounding off question.
Oh, good.
So there are comments. James Tavernier was the player that came into the press conference, and there are comments from him that we can't talk about at the moment because they're embargoed until 12 p.m. on Sunday. I felt they were very insightful, actually, in good ways and bad ways, into various aspects of how the players are reacting, etc. So make sure you check out those comments
and the podcast tomorrow night where I talk about them for an hour.
Yeah, check out those comments Sunday lunchtime. Get your thoughts together. Come on and join Iain and the team in the podcast with all your comments. But one thing that I think everyone in the stand was thinking at times is the players on the pitch don't look like they're playing for the manager. What do you make of that?
I thought it in Bruges away. I thought players just chucked it and there was no pride at all there. Today, I don't really know. I don't think it's players not trying or not like diving into tackles and not running. And don't get me wrong, Hart's done more of that than us. But I think there's just a personality thing missing with this squad, to be honest. Like, a manager's obviously very important and sets you up and picks the team and does the tactics, all this kind of stuff. But I think once you get onto the pitch, excuse me, and the match starts and you've got the crowd, because the crowd were, you know, backing the players the first few minutes. You know, it was noisy again. It was people were up for it. I think you then have that in you to say, right, I want to be the star here. I want to be the guy that scores the goal, makes the goal, gets the winner, all this kind of stuff. Your guys coming off the bench should have that same feeling. I just don't get that. I don't get the leadership side of that. And, you know, Hearts score their first goal. Again, how many times I sat here and said this, but you're looking around for players to be angry, to be shouting at each other, to be wanting more of each other. even not just goals, but like in games where you miss a chance or a poor corner comes in, a throw-in goes wrong. And I just don't ever see that. I don't see guys holding each other to account. And the caveat there is I don't want Tav walking over and screaming at Gassama or something. I don't want to see players angry unnecessarily. But if you don't have that, you then just look like a very easy team to play against. You just don't have that mentality that I think you need to be successful here. Like I saw the video a few days ago when Rangers beat St Johnstone 2-1 years ago and Tav scores that late winner.
Yeah.
It's just a random highlight of that game, and I just thought the amount of annoying, I don't want to say the word arsehole, but that kind of player in your team who will fight, will kick in, will stand up for each other. Just didn't see it. And you see, again, the perfect example for me was when Hearts were 1-0 up, 20 minutes to go, and they make a sub, and it takes 2 or 3 minutes for all the subs to go on. We've not got a single player at the ref going, what's happening here? What's the time? Hurry him up, move him along. The thing Raskin does, ironically. I didn't see any of that at all. We're all just kind of waiting and politely standing about and, okay, he's gone off. I'll just wait till the ball's... Get moving, get something going. But it's a corner and just before half time, walking over to take it and just crossing in sort of randomly. There's no drive at all in this stadium from the players, and that just then translates on the fans who don't have anything to buy into. It's an endless circle, and it's what we've seen today. We saw it at Dundee, we saw it in the Bruges game. Getting used to it now. Yeah,
we'll round it off there because the Rangers are taking enough of my Saturday, and I don't want to take up all my Saturday night as well. But thank you everyone for listening and watching. Please subscribe to the TI YouTube channel. There's hundreds and hundreds of you watching live right now. If you're not subscribed, make sure you do. It helps us massively and means you won't miss out on any of the content as well. Iain and the guys will be back tomorrow night. Sunday night live at 7:30 p.m. On our YouTube channel. They will discuss James Tavernier's comments. They'll discuss any fallout that there's been after today. Who knows? They might discuss a sacked manager, but that may be wishful thinking on all of our parts. But thank you very much, everyone, for listening. Until next time, goodbye.